The gunfighter, a man without a name or past, arrives in the town of San Miguel to earn some money and rest after a long journey. On the outskirts, he stops at a well to get a drink of water and witnesses a heart-wrenching scene. A little boy sneaks out of a house and makes his way to the house across the street, climbing in through the window. However, he is pushed back out. A man named Julian, the boy's father, is beaten by a bandit named Chico, who has been ordered not to let the boy see his mother. Noticing the gunfighter, Chico waits for him to intervene, but the gunfighter merely averts his gaze. As Julian and his son leave, the gunfighter exchanges glances with a beautiful woman, the boy's mother. Her look is cold and unwelcoming. The gunfighter rides into town on his old horse, where he is met by the bell ringer, who tells him that in this place, people are either rich or dead. It's no joke, as those who have tried to get rich but failed have been killed by those who succeeded. Soon, the gunfighter encounters the reason why San Miguel is so dangerous. Bandits from the Baxter gang decide to mock him. They fire at the ground near his horse to scare the animal. The horse is startled, but the gunfighter remains calm. Dismounting, he notices the saloon owner, Silvanito, who warns him that there is no place for outsiders in this town. Here, people either kill or are killed. Silvanito explains that the only one working in town is the undertaker, Peripero. But the gunfighter is used to making a living his own way. He needs money to pay for food and drinks, so he starts asking about the situation in town. It turns out that two gangs rule here, the Baxters and the Rojo. Besides them, the town is home to widows hiding in their houses. The gangs are involved in smuggling weapons and alcohol, and among the Rojo, Ramon is particularly dangerous. The gunfighter decides to approach the Rojo and offer his services. He visits Don Miguel, the gang leader, and offers himself as a worker. To demonstrate his skills, he goes to the Baxter's house and challenges the thugs who scared his horse to a duel. He gives them a choice: apologize to his horse or meet their maker. The bandits choose the latter, underestimating the gunfighter. Within seconds, all four are dead. John Baxter, who introduces himself as the town sheriff, appears. The gunfighter realizes that Baxter will seek revenge at the first opportunity. Returning to Don Miguel, the gunfighter receives $100 for future work. Miguel shows him a suit of armor that his brother Ramon uses for rifle practice. Don Miguel explains that in a few days, a cavalry unit will pass through the town, and he doesn't want the military interfering in their affairs. This is why he needs the gunfighter's help. Chico escorts the gunfighter to his room. On the way, they encounter the same woman from the outskirts. Her name is Marisol, and she is Ramon's woman. Settling into his room, the gunfighter overhears a conversation between Miguel and his brother Esteban. Esteban suggests killing the gunfighter to avoid wasting money on him, but Miguel refuses. Hearing this, the gunfighter realizes he's not welcome and decides to stay with Silvanito instead. When the cavalry arrives in town, the gunfighter goes to see what they're transporting, but is met with a pistol barrel, realizing it's none of his business. The next day, as the soldiers head to the river, the gunfighter and Silvanito follow them. They witness the soldiers trying to buy weapons from Americans. Inside the stagecoach is gold. However, the American soldiers turn out to be Rojo disguised in military uniforms, including Ramon. They had killed the real Americans, taken their uniforms, and ambushed the entire cavalry, stealing the gold. Everything was staged to look like the soldiers had shot each other. After this incident, the gunfighter met Ramon at the Rojo house and learned that the Baxters had been invited for dinner. Considering that the Rojo had lost 4 men because of him, the gunfighter decided to keep his distance. He returned the money to Don Miguel and left. Ramon had invited the Baxters for a reason. He wanted a temporary truce so that when the military arrived to investigate the deaths of their soldiers, they wouldn't suspect that it was the gangs of San Miguel who were responsible. Silvanito advised the gunfighter to leave town immediately, as he now had no protection from either the Baxters or the Rojo. If the two gangs joined forces, the gunfighter would be in serious trouble. But the gunfighter had a different plan. Together with Silvanito, he went to the river, retrieved 2 soldiers' bodies, and moved them to the cemetery. Afterward, the gunfighter visited the Baxters and explained why the Rojo wanted a truce. He claimed that 2 soldiers had survived and were at the cemetery. If the Baxters captured them, they could turn the Rojo over to the authorities, and the military would eliminate the Baxters' competition. For this information, the gunfighter asked for $500. Having received the money, he went to the Rojo and told them the same story. 2 soldiers had survived, but the Baxters wanted to capture them alive and hand them over to the authorities. For this information, the gunfighter also demanded $500. Now $1,000 richer in one evening, the gunfighter waited for the Rojo to head to the cemetery. He discreetly knocked out Chico, who was guarding the warehouse with the barrels, and began searching for the stolen gold. When he found it, Marisol appeared. Mistaking her for a guard, the gunfighter knocked her out with a precise blow. Meanwhile, the Rojo and the Baxters met at the cemetery, completely forgetting about the truce. Ramon, seeing what he believed to be living soldiers, shot them again, making sure they were truly dead this time. He captured Antonio, the Baxter's son, and left. When Ramon returned, the gunfighter had just revived Marisol. Realizing what had happened, the gunfighter took Marisol hostage to exchange her for Antonio. For this, the gunfighter received another bundle of cash. The next day, the gunfighter stood on the saloon porch to watch the exchange of prisoners that he himself had orchestrated. Everything went according to plan until Marisol's son suddenly appeared. The boy ran toward his mother, and Julian tried to pull him away. Marisol embraced both of them. Ramon decided to shoot Julian, but Silvanito intervened. The gunfighter stepped in as well. He ordered Julian to take his son and go home, while telling Marisol to return to Ramon. Everyone followed his orders. After this scene, Silvanito told the gunfighter how Marisol had become Ramon's hostage. The Rojo had threatened Julian, saying they would kill his son if he tried to interfere or rescue his wife. Hearing this, the gunfighter went to the Rojo house to drink. Ramon demonstrated his accuracy by shooting at the suit of armor, with all his shots landing in the heart area, right in front of the gunfighter. Ramon then ordered Marisol to be sent home and prepared to leave town himself. The gunfighter pretends to be drunk and is carried to his room. However, instead of staying there, he sneaks out and heads to Marisol's house. There, he kills the guards and stages the scene to look like a robbery. He then takes Marisol to her husband and son, gives them money, and sends them off to the United States, where they can find safety. At the Rojo house, the sound of gunfire alerts them, and they rush to Marisol's home. Realizing she has been taken, they assume it's the work of the Baxters and head back to prepare for an attack. The gunfighter also returns, but when he enters his room, he finds Ramon waiting for him. Ramon has figured out that the gunfighter was the one who helped Marisol escape. Ramon and his men torture the gunfighter, trying to force him to reveal where he hid the woman, but he remains silent. Beaten nearly to death, the gunfighter manages to kill Chico and several of Ramon's men before crawling away to Piraparo. Meanwhile, Ramon and his men capture Silvanito and torture him, trying to learn the gunfighter's whereabouts. Unable to find him, they turn their wrath on the Baxters, massacring the entire family. The gunfighter witnesses all of this as Piraparo smuggles him out of the town in a coffin. He takes refuge in an abandoned mine. Piraparo brings him food and water while the gunfighter works on crafting armor from an old mine cart. One day, Piraparo tells the gunfighter that Silvanito has been captured again by the Rojo. They are torturing him to find out where the American is hiding, but Silvanito refuses to talk, even under threat of death. The gunfighter realizes it's time to act. He appears in the town square where Silvanito is being held. Ramon fires at the gunfighter, but he keeps walking forward. Shocked and terrified, Ramon empties his rifle into the gunfighter, but the bullets are stopped by the armor. When Ramon runs out of ammunition, the gunfighter eliminates his men and, with his final shot, severs the rope that was hanging Silvanito. This leads to a duel. Who will shoot faster? A man with a Winchester or a man with a revolver? The gunfighter proves quicker and kills Ramon. After the duel, Esteban tries to make good on his promise to kill the American from behind. But before he can, Silvanito shoots him. The Undertaker has his hands full with all the bodies. When he comes to collect them, It is revealed that the gunfighter's name is Joe. Soon the military is expected to arrive in the town to retrieve their gold, but Joe has no intention of waiting for them. He takes his mule, bids farewell to his friends, and rides off on his own path.